you? Like, what are you doing? Are you saying hi to the camera? What's that? Harper, hey, what's that? What is that?
Alright guys, so we just successfully opened the garage door a little bit, so that's a good deal. I'm gonna get the 4020 now and see if I can't bring the shop press over from the other shed. And the goal is to eventually be able to get that door open enough so that we can get the 4020 in and hopefully use the 4020 to get the springs up there. But we'll see how that goes. But I'm gonna get these doors open so I can get the tractor out. Shop here. I got my fancy dancy calipers here, and we're gonna take a measurement because we had a little oops the other day, and part on the garage door cracked, and I need to find out what size the shaft is for the torsion rod, and so we're gonna measure that quick, and then I'm gonna be gone this weekend, and I'm on my way back. I'm going to stop at an overhead garage door and pick up the part that I need. Let's get a little light on in here. It's freaking cold in here because the furnace has been having problems. I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but it's been just kind of the fire's just kind of been going out, and so I don't know what caused that. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna climb up there and take them measurements. Then we'll give you a little bit of an update on what we've got done. And yes, by the way, I am a Broncos fan, and I'm hoping that they do a little bit better in this Super Bowl than they did. Head on up to measure this shaft size on this tension rod. Unfortunately, it's going to have to come back down in order to fix this problem, but hopefully you can see here that that hub just cracked all to hell. And I mean, it's an old door, so it's kind of to be expected to have problems like this, but got to figure out what shaft size this is so I can get my new one. And it looks like it's a 1-inch shaft, which is what I figured. The choices were like inch or inch and a quarter. And when I called, the guy said that the size of the door that it is right on the borderline of being the 1-inch shaft or the inch and a quarter shaft. And it looks like we got the 1-inch shaft, so that's good. So like I said, this side will have to come back down, which we actually developed a way of doing it that makes that process fairly easy. And I've got, I think maybe six or eight lag bolts I'll have to take back out, but not a huge deal. I mean, it would have been nice to have caught that while it was down on the ground, but I haven't decided yet if I want to replace both sides. It's probably not a bad idea, especially if the part that we're getting is going to be different. I'd hate to have them not be the same size when I get it up here. And so this one I think we can knock off while it's up here, but this one we can't move the unit over far enough because it hits the rafter over there to do that. And so this whole spring unit will have to come back down. And then when that's down, I think we'll just pound this one off and replace this one too. I mean, better safe than sorry. But yeah, these springs went up extremely well. I couldn't be more pleased with how that went. You know, it was a lot easier than I figured it was going to be, because I was afraid it was going to be awfully dang difficult, and it actually worked pretty well. So that's done, or on the verge of being done. Then all that's left pretty much is to run the cables down to the bottom of the door, and then on this side we're going to have to do some figuring for how we're going to make the chain drive work, but shouldn't be too bad. Shouldn't be too bad at all. And so I just realized there's sprockets like setting against the wood there, so we'll have to probably notch that board out so that the chain will fit on the sprocket. But we'll have to figure out how to put, that's our lift system right there, that chain. And we'll have to figure out how to get that up there so that the roller chain can connect from that sprocket to the sprocket on this lift system. But that'll be pretty simple. I mean, worst case scenario, we can run jack shafts and stuff like that and just kind of do whatever we need to do to make it work. Otherwise, yeah, this part went a lot better than I thought it would. And it's nice to see those up there, even though we got to take one back down. And basically what we did was I found out that the loader on the 4020 would go high enough to reach up there. And so we had to use the skid loader to open the door. And then we got the 4020 in here. And these bars right here are what the grapple bolts onto when we have the grapple on this tractor. And so I just found these on the scrap pile and bolted them on there. And we just cradled the spring in that, and then we were able to pretty much set the back of this right on top of the door, and we just rolled the spring off of that and onto we put 2x4s up there that go from the header to then just brace against the top of the door. And it just sets right on top of that while you bolt it in place. You don't have to stand up there and try and lift it or anything. It pretty much just set right where it needed to be. But I think that's about all I got for updates, unless you guys see anything else new in here. I don't know if I showed you some of this little stuff, but I made a deal to hang like the chains and binders and stuff. Right now all the chains are kind of spread out, but they would be hanging there. All right, so one last thing I'll show you is Dad got all this stuff moved in here, and we got this shelf built. These are all parts containers, basically. Different stuff. I think like this one's tractor parts and this one's baler parts, and then we got more parts down below, wire, stuff like that. These are empty toolboxes, and then this is going to be the rack for all of the scrap metal that, or not, I shouldn't call it scrap metal, all the metal that is usable. Anything that we might need for a project or something like that. Anything that's scrap is going to get piled outside, but this is all stuff that we may need for future projects. And so it's nice to have this inside out of the snow. And yeah, I got a bunch of belts here that I got to hang on the wall somewhere just to get them out of the way. But nice to have all this stuff inside. And that's where I'm going to leave today's episode, I guess. When I get back this weekend, we'll get the springs up the rest of the way for the garage door, and then I think I'm going to call someone in to line the springs up, because I just don't feel comfortable doing that. And yeah, so once that's done, we're going to have an operating door. And once the door is operating, that means we can finish tinning the roof and the sides. And once the inside is all tinned, then we'll be pretty much done on the inside except for painting. I mean, we got all the wiring done, and I do have to do the lights. The lights are only a third of the way done. But yeah, and then we can get up there and we can seal that eave, or the ridge cap. I don't know if I ever explained that, but you can see the light coming through the ridge cap up there. We were supposed to put rubber seal in there, and basically Dad didn't realize that, and he thought that had to be open so that you could let air out. Well, it turns out that it lets a heck of a lot of snow in, which isn't such a problem here. You know, it just gets a little bit of snow on the equipment, but up there it would get a bunch of snow on the insulation. And so we have to get up there. I'm just going to run some sheets of OSB across the floor trusses that are up there, and I should be able to reach the inside of the roof from there, and I'll just shove that rubber stuff in from the inside. I know those things will hold the weight. I was up there when we hung the garage door rail. I had to kind of tightrope walk across the top of one of those floor trusses, and they're nice and sturdy. So we may even throw a few sheets of OSB up there and just use it as storage. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so we're going to call it there. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like, share, and subscribe, and check back for more.